So, just so you guys know where I'm coming from with this movie review, I love this franchise so much. I had my wedding party come out to the theme song of the original 1995 Mortal Kombat movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, your wedding party.
Here are my spoiler-free thoughts on Mortal Kombat 2021, an action martial arts fantasy film directed by Simon McQuoid. I'm going to do my best to talk about this movie objectively and detach myself from my own nostalgia and love of the lore and the characters. Let's start off with the good for this movie. It classifies itself as a martial arts action fantasy movie, and the movie pretty much gives you that. It's pretty entertaining, and they use a lot of practical effects. There's not too much ugly CGI, kind of overburdening your eyes, and they use it pretty sparingly too. If you're familiar with the game, you'll know that one of the things you can do, and a highlight of the game, is perform a fatality on your opponent once you've defeated them. And these fatalities have gotten increasingly violent and gory over the years. So when they announced they'd be giving this movie an R rating, everyone knew what they would be bringing to the big screen finally. There was a point in this movie where my wife and I were watching and just eating popcorn, and a fatality occurs, a surprise fatality, and my eyes just widened and she yelped, and it was glorious. But without spoiling anything, I'm just going to show you some relevant stock footage, and those who have seen it will know exactly what I'm talking about. The costume designer on this movie deserves a lot more credit because they pretty much nailed the look of all the characters. Although I wish there was more color in the final film as opposed to just shades of colors. It did seem pretty dark at times. The characters in this movie are pretty well done, but I felt like there was a juggling act because they included so many, so the important characters really didn't get to shine as much. So a few standouts in regards to characters in this movie were Josh Lawson, who plays Kano. This guy was hilarious. He was the comic relief, and he just stole every scene that he's in. As well as Joe Taslim. He's a martial artist, and he plays Sub-Zero. And the way he embodied that character, he just brought so much gravitas to him, and they really made him a villain in this movie. Finally, I don't know his name, but the guy who plays Kung Lao, he nailed it. I thought he was great, and he was, again, just interesting to watch in every scene he was in. By the way, I love the character intros in this movie. I think it's like one of its crowning achievements, especially the way, for instance, Kung Lao shows up. He first shows up doing a move he does in the games, and it just brought a smile to my face. I'd like to mention the first time Scorpion shows up, the real Scorpion, and they deliberately added in a musical cue, which is kind of known to fans of the game, and it was one of my favorite moments in the movie. I also very much loved the way they brought in fantasy elements into this movie. It seems a little bit more grounded, and given a bit more time to develop, we could have had a superb interpretation of the universe that this movie takes place in. I want to talk a bit about the bad now. So first of all, the story was setting up to be something super epic, but then from like the halfway point of the movie right into the third act, the pacing just takes a sharp turn and it kind of ruins what they have left. As I mentioned earlier, they juggle a lot of characters in this movie, and I just wish they were a bit more fleshed out. They added a new character specifically for this film. His name is Cole Young, and to be honest, I didn't really much care about it. He's meant to be sort of a central character, and from a writing perspective, I can see why they threw him in. He's sort of the new character of this world. We learn through his eyes. For people who are watching this movie who don't know the Mortal Kombat universe, then he helps introduce them to it. Honestly, all that time they spent developing his story arc, they could have put that into other characters and fleshed out the characters we know and love, and maybe made the story a little bit more interesting. This movie felt very small scale, and here's why. Throughout the movie, they're setting up a big tournament called Mortal Kombat, but those expectations they just go undelivered. There are a handful of locations in this movie that frequently repeat, and it's not like we see different areas of a larger area like in Titanic or Jurassic Park. We see the same sets just dressed differently again and again, and it makes the movie feel very small scale, and like the first two episodes of a miniseries, and it doesn't feel like a feature length film. Coming back to the fight scenes of the movie, I kind of expected a bit more, but here's why. Now, they did include a lot of stuff from the game, including fireballs and a lot of character moves, but when they were casting two people in particular, I was expecting a lot, and that's Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Joe Taslim plays Sub-Zero, and he's a great martial artist, and I've seen a couple of his movies, as well as Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays Scorpion. This guy's a great physical actor, he's a legendary actor, and he's pretty old. He's in his 60s, but he came out to play Scorpion, and I wish this movie had more of them. The fight choreography wasn't as explosive and well realized as I wanted it to be, considering the type of movies these guys have done before. The stunts were great, but I wanted some legendary fight scenes, especially because they had the potential for that, and I just didn't get that, but maybe in the sequels. So my final thoughts on this movie is that it's a good, fun movie. It could have been a lot better. It was a great setup. It had good characters and a serviceable script that just needed a bit more tweaking. And if they fixed those horrible pacing issues, it could have been a lot better. I wish they had focused on fewer characters and delivered on the story. I also wish they would have topped up on those fight scenes and I would have had a perfect Mortal Kombat movie right there. This film, though, was a lot of fun, and I'll definitely watch it again and definitely be there for the sequel because I know they have the potential to do better. I'm rating this a 6 out of 10. Cheers. One more thing, guys, I want to talk about. I really love doing these movie reviews, so if you want to see more, just let me know because I'm going to be covering a lot of the big movies. I do have two big projects I plan on doing for this channel. They require quite a bit of research, so it's going to take some time to put those together. They're also going to probably need more editing because they'll be fairly long, but expect those. I'm not going to give you a due date or anything, but expect those coming up soon. They're going to be a lot of fun for me to do, and I hope you guys enjoy them. But if you like my content, please subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, just look forward to more stuff. Thank you for watching.